Okey-doke.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Victoria and I work for Nottingham Trent University and I'll be hosting today's session. Also behind the scenes with me is Vanita and she's doing all the important tech stuff behind the scenes. So today's session is called First in the Family and we've got two current NTU students with us today who are going to talk about their experiences of university as a first generation student. So just to clarify what that means when we say first generation, it means that you'll be the first person to go to university within your immediate family. So that might mean you have to do a little bit more research to decide if university is the right step for you. So just to go over some housekeeping before we get going. So your microphone and your camera have automatically been turned off. So at no point during this webinar will anyone be able to hear or see you. Hopefully you can all hear me and your volume's turned up enough. And we hope this is going to be an interactive session. So this is your chance to ask questions to either our students or to us. So do feel free at any point to put your question in the question and answer box, which should be on the top right of your screen. And those questions are completely anonymous. So you can ask absolutely anything you want. There are no such thing as a silly question. So please just feel free to ask any questions. And once we get to the end of the webinar, we'll ask those questions either to our students or if it's more to me, I'm happy to answer it as well. So that's enough from me. I'll pass it over to our students, Charlotte and Emma, who are going to introduce themselves. So Charlotte, would you like to go first?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Charlotte and I'm a second year student from NTU. I study education and I'm originally from around 25 to half an hour away in a town called Melton Mowbray. Don't know if any of you know about it.
Thank you. And Emma, would you like to go next?
Yeah, hi. So I'm Emma. I'm a third year student. I'm on MBiol Pharmacology. So I study over at Clifton and I'm originally from Lincoln, which is only about an hour away.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'll stick with you, Emma, where I've got the camera on you. How did you decide that university was the right next step for you to make?
Yeah, so kind of like when I was leaving school, I was sort of considering all the possible jobs that I could do in my future that I was interested in, and I kind of sort of landed on like things like being a lawyer or a scientist or maybe a teacher, and then when I was like looking at them, they kind of all needed a degree, and I also decided that I wanted to keep going with education and not take like a break, so I just sort of just wanted to go like all the way through, like from school and everything, and then I also considered like the financial aspect as well. I was like trying to weigh up like whether I could afford to go, whether I could move out, or if I'd have to stay at home and go locally. And yeah, I was just kind of like trying to look at all the bursaries and student finance to see if I could attend. Yeah.
So it sounds like you did a lot of research and forward sort of planning. So you did mention finance as well, and that's something, especially that was a big factor for me about choosing university. We're going to talk a bit more about that in a little bit. Charlotte, same question to you. Why did you decide that university was going to be right for you?
Well, I actually didn't always know university was going to be for me. I left sixth form with the intention of starting full-time work. However, after coming back from my travelling, I quickly realised that the job opportunities around me in my small town weren't so great, and it would mean, so for example, I do education because I plan on going into teaching, and being at university allows me to go straight into a bracket of around £24,000 to £25,000, whereas if I stayed in my hometown doing a teaching apprenticeship, I would start off on literally less than £5 an hour. And for me to live at home and still have to pay my way and live off that much money, it just wasn't feasible for me. I thought it would be better financially if I was to go to university and then start off on a higher bracket. And it would also mean that I would start off in a better position.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I understand what you're saying. I was the first generation in my family to go to university, and I actually didn't think it was for me for quite a while, and I put it off for quite some time, and that was mainly because I had some like preconceptions about what I actually thought university was, and I thought I'm not the right kind of person that would fit in at university. It's not for me. Emma, did you have any preconceptions or assumptions surrounding going to university?
Yeah, I did. I had a few. I thought, like, first of all, like, it was only for like clever people and everyone here would be a genius. I thought everyone would also be like really posh and have like loads of money. And also, like, I thought it would be difficult for me to fit in, like, due to like I don't really go clubbing or drinking. So I was like, will I actually make any friends while I'm there? Like, will I have enough money for food? Will I just eat takeaway and like pasta? Like, will I survive? Basically. Yeah, so quite a few.
Yeah, I can relate to quite a few of those actually. And did you find that any of those assumptions were actually true once you got here?
Not many of them. I say like people are clever. I would say that was kind of true. But like people work for it. Like it's not just like, oh, I listened to 20 minutes of that lecture and I got 100%. Like people are in the library, they're reading like everything, like working like not long hours, but they're putting in the work. But I think everything else was kind of false. Most people are like normal, like I felt like I fit in. There's loads of other stuff to do. It's not just clubbing and drinking. You can volunteer, you can make friends on your course, you can join a society that's like not that. And yeah, like student finance, and if you have like a part-time job as well, like you can kind of like not, you can eat sort of healthy-ish meals as well. So like it's not the worst thing, like the worst diet or anything either.
It's not all takeaways.
No, it's not. They're expensive.
Yeah. How about you, Charlotte? Did you have any assumptions and did they turn out to be true or not?
Yeah, I actually really like Emma's point where she said that people work for it, because I initially did think, you know, like everyone at university must be so much more clever than I am. It just naturally comes to them. But in reality, it doesn't for a lot of people, and that's okay. Like it's okay to have to work for your grades because that's what university is all about. I was never someone at A level that got like amazing results, and that really put me off coming to university. But then when I got to university and I started putting the work in and appreciating my education more because I was paying for it, I started getting like first in assignments and stuff, which has never happened to me before. And it is down to just putting in the hard work. It doesn't come to everyone. To be honest, like I found the whole process of applying for university very daunting at first, and that really put me off as well, because you know the whole student finance thing. I as well thought, I'm not rich, I can't come to university, but you do get a loan, and it's how you spend that money. And as well, like before you come to university, you've got a good 6 months, 5 or 6 months before you come, and just work to help you through the years in the summer. And you know, there are going to be people at university that can afford takeouts all the time. Like my flatmates, they get takeouts probably like 2-3 times a week, but I don't, and I do like £20 shops a week, and that's fine for me.
Yeah, it's just about finding that balance in terms of what fits for you. Yeah, I can relate to that. So let's stick with you then, Charlotte. Did you have any concerns or any particular worries that were sort of prominent in your mind before coming to university?
Yeah, I think naturally I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to click with people and stuff, but I don't really know why I did worry about that so much, because naturally I am a confident person, and the university put on so many events in the first week where you're bound to meet loads of people and make friends. And it's just one of those things where you have to put yourself out there and go to like the cinema nights at the SU, Ocean Wednesdays and stuff. You're bound to meet so many people and just build networks with people. And I think I was worried about moving out and just like my flatmates, if I was going to like them and stuff. But I think what you need to remember is that you don't need to be best friends with everyone, and maybe to treat your flatmates a bit like colleagues. If you don't necessarily like click with them, you know, you're not going to get on with everyone in the workplace, but that's just life.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that, because I was a little bit older when I went to university, so I was really worried. I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to fit in with younger people? Am I going to make friends? So that was a big worry for me. And I found by, you know, joining different societies, I met different people that weren't just on my course or that I didn't live with. How about you, Emma? Did you have any worries or concerns that you thought about before deciding if university was right for you?
Yeah, I had a couple. So I was also worried about moving. I think it was more like the costs, whether I'd be able to cope. Yeah, it's a new environment and it's different. Like I said, like the money as well. Like you've never had to pay for like bills before, like just yourself, so you don't really know like how much to budget, like what is like feasible, what is like too expensive, and especially in like a different city as well, the costs are different. And just support as well. Like I was a bit concerned, like I struggle with my mental health, so I was concerned about obviously moving to a new GP. And again, like Charlotte was saying, is like will I find like my friends? Will I fit in? Like, will I make friends with the people I live with on my course? Or and it's about putting yourself sort of like out there.
Yeah, did you do anything in particular then once you got to university or before you came to university to overcome those worries, Emma?
Yeah, I tried to do what I could. So I actually moved to the city at the start of September prior to the course starting, so I had a few weeks to settle in. And then like with the budget, I tried to sort of like be a bit more generous in the first few months just to make sure that I'd have enough. And then obviously when I realised like I was over budgeting, I could then like cut back on like certain things like for bills and stuff. And it's just like when you settle in, like it's just putting yourself out there, making sure you sign up for that GP like straight away. So then if you are ill, they will see you sort of thing. Like if you're not registered, that they will like sort of refuse you. And it's just talking to people, like try and talk to someone new, like on like every different teaching session of your course to sort of like get to know kind of like everyone. Like if you like the look of a society or a sports club, like just go to that taster in that first few weeks, and it really does sort of like help settle your mind and settle you in and give you a bit of a support network for like sort of overcoming all those worries and fears.
That's a nice tip. I like that. Thanks, Emma. You did sound like you're very organised as well, and you thought ahead. So I think that's something that if you're not sure what to expect about university, sort of do some planning ahead and do some thinking ahead. So Charlotte, being the first in the family, when I went to university, I wasn't sure how to prepare, what to expect, what university was going to be like. Did you do anything in particular to prepare yourself for university?
Yeah, I did. So I was actually on a gap year before I came to university. So I particularly made sure that I kept in good contact with my people at my sixth form, people that would do my references and stuff. That I made sure I had really good references to send to the university, and I also kept ringing up the university just to check things, when like the accommodation was going to be released, and just different pinpoints through the year where I'd have to like hand over certain documents to them and stuff. Always checking my emails. I think that's really important before you come to university, just to make sure you don't miss any deadlines. I did slip on my accommodation though. I didn't check like thoroughly enough when it was going to be released, and I thought I'd have loads of time, and I didn't realise the accommodation gets snapped up so quick. So I found that I was in an accommodation which I really didn't want to be in, just because it was on a different. It was in Clifton, and I wanted to be in the city, but it turned out that they did have some space in the city, and I was able to move. But just that's a good tip. Like just keep on top of your emails, so like you're going to be living in the accommodation you want to be living in. And that's it really. Like just keep organised, and make sure that you get used to budgeting before you get to uni, and like make sure you actually go with like all the stuff you need to make it so much less stressful when you get there.
Yeah, sounds good. The email tip, that's something we tell students all the time. So university is always going to contact you via email. So yeah, keeping on top of emails, I'd say, is a really good tip to take away. How about you, Emma? Did you do anything in particular to prepare for university?
Yeah, so like Charlotte was saying, just like making sure you stay on top of it. So making sure you hit the UCAS deadline for applying, make sure you do the student finance application with lots of time. Obviously, like if you're coming straight from school, make sure you're doing all the work to make sure you basically complete your course. And then yeah, looking for accommodation. So I didn't live in student accommodation. I found my own flat. So I had to like travel like to Nottingham like several times to come and like look at places. And yeah, it is just like making sure that everything is done in time. I think it's so you can relax a bit more. If you know you've got a place to live, you know that your course is firmed, you know you've got the grades and everything, and you know, because you've been like checking those emails and checking everything, you know you've ticked all the boxes. So you basically just then like you can just sit and wait for like move-in day and for your course to start without thinking like, oh my god, like will I actually get like my student finance confirmed? Like, you know, you don't want to be in that position. And I found it easier to put like everything into I use like an online calendar. I use Google Calendar and just put like everything in like on the day that I need to do it, just to make sure like that I don't forget, basically, because otherwise like I forget everything.
Yeah, it's a good tip. So using calendars to sort of put deadline dates in is a good way to help you out there. So coming on to a topic that I know was the biggest concern for me, which was finance. How has your experience been in finance at university, Charlotte?
Yeah, so in all honesty, my first year accommodation wasn't covered by my student finance, just because it goes off what your parents earn, and I was living in the most expensive accommodation at NTU, so I did have to put some money towards it, but that was off like, you know, that was my own decision. If your parents, if you do get like a little loan, you can live in something that your loan can afford. It's just I wanted to live in a specific place, so that was like my own stress that I brought on myself, so that's not really something to worry about. And you know, second year as well, there like the house prices in Nottingham really do vary. You can get some for like £95 a week up to like 160. You just stay within your means. And yeah, I took a year out, so I did get a job and I did work, so I took some money to uni with me, and I think that's really good, because it is stressful within the first few weeks, because you want to be going to do like everything that your flatmates are doing. You don't want to be sat at home whilst they're going out and having fun. So I'd really recommend, you know, taking some money to uni or trying to find a job as soon as possible. I would suggest, if you want to find a job, handing your CV around during the summer, because once you get to uni, the jobs snap up as quick as the houses do. So it can become quite overwhelming trying to get a job when you get to uni. But also, like, you be mindful that the university has loads of jobs which you can get paid for, such as this one. So there's lots of job opportunities there. So try not to worry about your finance too much, because on top of your studying as well and settling into a new place, it just becomes a bit overwhelming, because it did for me.
Yeah, that's understandable. And talking about sort of your work then, Charlotte, how many hours can you usually work a week that fit in around your studies? How do you make that balance?
So I can fit in comfortably 12 or 14 hours, but that's just because of my course. I wouldn't recommend that for everyone's course, and I wouldn't recommend that for everyone just in terms of how they'd like to manage their time. I think it's best. I usually do my work on the weekends, like my actual job, and I'll do like say Saturday 7 hours, Sunday 7 hours, and do all my uni work throughout the week. But it's really just how you can manage your time. If I feel like I've got deadlines coming up, or I've just been busy lately, then I'll be able to tell my employer, look, I'm really sorry, but yeah, I've got a lot going on at the minute, can I minimise my hours this week? And thankfully my employers are really understanding about that.
That's good to hear that you can find jobs that sort of fit around your studies. How about you, Emma? What's your experience been of finance at university?
Yeah, so I find that I can live quite comfortably from student finance, plus like the bursary that I'm eligible for, plus like having like, it's kind of like a part-time job, but it's more like a 0 hours job where I accept the work that I want when I can. Yeah, and it's just like making sure that I budget. All like financially, I always make sure that I apply for student finance as soon as it opens, like every single year as well, just to make sure that I get that like without like the stress of like panicking in September, like trying to still do it. And yeah, and I know that student finance give you like, is it the year length of your course plus a year? And because of my mental health, I've had to like submit compelling personal reasons claims, which is where they give you like extra years on top of that because you haven't been able to complete a course due to something. And there's loads of different reasons you can have for that. So I think just knowing that as well, like if something unexpected is going to crop up, there are additional years of funding. It's just you have to jump 3 more hoops to get it. But yeah, like Charlotte said, like working for the uni is always a really good option, just because as they are your university, like they're more flexible and understanding. If you do need to suddenly, if you suddenly got lots of deadlines and you're like, oh, I can't work this like week or this month, like it's finding that employer that if you do have a job that is understanding, because I know some of my friends, yeah, their employer is just like, no, sorry, these are the hours you work, and they have found it really stressful at times, but they need the money, so they need to do the job essentially.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's sort of harking back to what you said about getting extra financial support. There is teams at the university as well that will help you with that. So just because you're now an adult and you're going to university doesn't mean that you have to sort of find all this information out for yourself. There's lots of support at university there for you. So yeah, I know finance puts a lot of students off going to university, but I guess what a lot of people don't realise is that you will have access to loans from the finance company. So with the cost of university, would you say it's been worth it so far, Charlotte? Have you gained a lot from your experience?
Yeah, I think I have gained a lot. You know, it's been difficult with the finance, just because I'm not in a position where I do get a lot of money. But I think it's made me just grow up more, like appreciate the money I do have and learn how to budget. And I think it's made me realise that it's just made me become like a lot more of an organised person, because I know that I've got to put in the hours to my studies and put in the hours to both my like outside work as well. And coming to university has just been worth it overall. You know, I've been blessed to have so many more opportunities come towards me in terms of getting experience in schools, both primary and secondary, through the university jobs I've had. And it's just, I've been able to like put my name out there more and get more experience on my CV and stuff through it. So 100% it's been worth it for me. And the financial struggles, you know, they were hard, but if you manage your time, get a part-time job, you'll be fine.
Excellent. How about you, Emma? Have you found that your university experience has been worth it? Have you learnt a lot from your time at university?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I'd say first of all, my confidence in myself and also be like adapting to like new situations has improved so much. Organisation skills are definitely better. Again, like I mentioned, like Google Calendar, Google Tasks, I put literally like everything in from my social life, like my uni work, everything goes in there. So like I just rely on that. And just like resilience as well, like as a person, like so I'm in my 3rd year of my course, but this is my 5th year in total, just because like I've struggled. But I think it really makes you think about why you've come to university. So like there've been a few times where I've been like, is this actually for me? Like, is this really what I want to be doing? And there have been times where I've had to take time out to like get better, but it's made me more determined and more sure that like being at university was definitely the right decision for me.
Yeah, it's really good to hear that you're really enjoying your time. So we're coming to the end of this webinar then. So I've got one last question for you both. So we'll start with you, Charlotte. So if you could give yourself one piece of advice as a first in the family student before you came to university, what would that be?
I would just, you know, you just got to put yourself first. I was first in my family to come to university, so I was a bit wary about it. I didn't know whether they all thought it'd be like ridiculous for me, like not, my mum jokes, oh, you're not growing up, you're just living your teenage years for longer and stuff. You should get a job and stuff. But no, in reality, like, I am gaining so much more experience, and at the end of university, you're going to get a good job. So, you know, you just got to put yourself first. If you know that you want to carry on your education because you want a specific job, then go for it. And don't let anyone else decide that for you.
Thank you. How about you, Emma? What advice would you give yourself as a first generation student?
I would say, first of all, you have to stay organised, because there is so much more work involved than I thought there would be, especially like as you've gone, like as I go through the years, that it just seems that there's more and more work. And just to also be honest with both yourself and your lecturers, like, because you have this like sort of like free time but not free time, it's up to you how you want to structure your day, whether like, but do take those breaks. Like, don't think that everyone else is just sat there working in the library like 12-hour days. They're not, and if they tell you, then they're lying. Like look after yourself, and just be honest with your lecturers as well. If you're struggling, like, they aren't as scary as they seem. Like, I always thought that they were quite daunting, like so, but they're actually really nice. They're just people. They've got families, they get stressed. Like, if you're struggling, just say, and someone will help you.
Yeah, that's very nice to hear. Yeah, I think I thought lecturers were like this big, scary, like posh, clever person who was really unapproachable. But no, I actually found they were really approachable, and they want you to succeed. They're there to help you. So that's the end of our question, guys. Thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us today. Benita, have we had any questions come through from our viewers?
Hello, yes, we've had a question come through, which is, sorry, I'll just have a read. Did you get prompted in order to book your accommodation, or like via email, or did you just have to kind of find that for yourself? So I'll ask Charlotte that question if possible, please.
I can't really remember. I think the uni would have sent an email out telling us when the accommodation would come through. And I'm pretty sure they do. But if you want to know, just ring up. That like student services will tell you, and it's really easy to book your accommodation.
Thank you. And then another question here, which is, sorry, how did you learn to manage your money and to make it last? So I'll ask Emma that question.
I guess first of all, like, you get like money, but it's like, for me personally, it has to last 12 months. So I kind of like add up all my money and then divide it by 12, and then I take away all the important stuff that has to come out first. So I'll take away like my rent and my bills, like anything like that I literally like have to pay, and then see what's left, and then I kind of like will divide that by the weeks in the, like, I'll say like there's 4 weeks in a month, and then divide the rest and kind of like do it that way. And then like sometimes if it's not looking like it's going to be much, I'll try and then like maybe up my hours at work or something to or like cut back on other things that I maybe don't need. So like in the shops, like I might buy like the really cheap stuff, or like rather than like going for, I don't know, expensive cheese or something, like you just get like the cheap stuff. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So thank you both. Those were the questions that we had. For our viewers watching, if you have any further questions, I have posted a link to our UniBuddy website where you can post any other questions that you might have to current students of ours and to our academics and our staff members here at Nottingham Trent as well. But that sort of concludes the webinar. I'll just hand it back over to Victoria to conclude the session.
Okay, so it just remains me to say thank you so much to Emma and Charlotte for taking time out your day today to spend with us, and thank you very much everyone for joining us. Thank you very much. Bye.